actual background.
Now, Yonatan Gabay is our salutatorian, and I just want to say that the Gabay family has been associated with this school for 4 decades, and this is the last one. And Yonatan has been with us since the beginning, and he is the salutatorian of the Judaic Studies. Yonatan.
Dear classmates, family, and teachers, though this year did not go as planned and we missed out on some amazing activities, it really gave us an appreciation for how amazing Abrams is. It showed us how our teachers care and want us to succeed. I know how hard they work to make school function, even though we were forced to do it through Zoom. We should not dwell on all the bad things that have happened this year, but instead embrace the happy memories and many fun moments that we've had throughout attending school in Abrams. What makes Abrams so amazing is that it felt like a second home. I look forward to going to school every day, and I have so many great memories here. Whether playing sports or learning, we always had a good time. I'd like to thank all of the teachers for guiding us and pushing us to do the best we could. To Rabbi Gudel, thank you for all the amazing events, fundraisers, and keeping Abrams running. To Rabbi O, thank you for teaching us all about Jewish history. I always enjoyed your class, and I'm sure my classmates feel the same. To Rabbi Tesser, thank you for teaching everyone Chumash and being the kindest person I have ever met. To Rabbi Lizarowski, thank you for teaching us Gemara and taking us to Espresso Cafe, even though we are animals. To Mora Sonia and Mor Bacha, thank you for teaching us when we were very young. To Mrs. Boris and Moraya, thank you for teaching us Hebrew throughout our studies at Abrams. To Mrs. Lamke, thank you so much for teaching me middle school math. To Mrs. Hammaker, thank you so much for teaching us science, even though we tried to get you off topic. Thank you to Mrs. Shantiz for leading our Reading Olympics team, even when it was canceled because of COVID-19. To Mr. G, thank you so much for soccer and basketball teams. Gym was always fun because of you. Mr. K, thank you so much for teaching me in 4th grade, even though I almost electrocuted myself. And later English in 6th grade. To Mrs. Marks, thank you for teaching us and leading our leading student government. Thank you to Mrs. Abramowitz for teaching English in 5th and 7th grade. To Mrs. Haas, thank you so much for teaching us English in 8th grade. You made sure class was always fun, even while we were stuck at home. But to Mrs. Cornspool, thank you so much. You were the best social studies teacher I ever had, even if my ears are still ringing from class. The Talmud tells a story of a man that went to Shammai and asked him to teach him the entire Torah on one leg. Shammai told him he cannot, and then the man went to Hillel and asked him the same thing. Hillel told him, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," treat your friends as you would want to be treated. Hillel told the man that this is the base principle of the entire Torah. Our classes always looked out for one another and helped each other, whether studying or help with homework. Our class has always been kind to one another, and I am proud to call each and every one of you my friend.
I now call upon the salutatorian for the secular studies. I think David has been with us since, where's David? Right there. He's been with us since kindergarten. And his 2 brothers are here too. And I love the way how David has progressed as a young man and has progressed as a Jew. And that to me is very important because that's the mission of our school. So, David, I'm very proud of you. Salutatorian of the secular studies, David Zamkov.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank everyone for being here. So I want to start my speech by highlighting Abrams and how it was such a special place for me to be and to grow up and learn in. I'm very appreciative of the fact that Abrams was very flexible and that allowed me to develop all my talents and interests. Abrams, to me, and I hope to all my classmates, felt more like a family than a school. In addition to providing a strong base in academic subjects, I'm sincerely grateful for an opportunity to have learned about Judaism and who I am and where I come from. My parents and multiple generations before them were deprived of that freedom, and I felt very privileged to be the first one in years to have a proper Jewish education. Abrams taught me to love Israel and to be a very strong and outspoken Zionist. Israel will always be our home, and regardless of where we live in the exile, we will eventually all come back home. Abrams, and especially Rabbi Budau and Rabbi O, who taught us Jewish history, also taught us that there is no other place in the world like Israel, and how special of a gift it is. We should never take it for granted, and we should always protect it with our words and actions. Now I'm going to thank all the teachers for teaching us. Thank you. It was truly a pleasure to be taught by such knowledgeable and wonderful people. I'm going to start with Mrs. Wasso and Ms. Morrisonia for teaching us math and Hebrew while we were young. I also want to thank Mrs. Kornskill for teaching us in 2nd grade and trying to shape us into good students. I also want to thank Mrs. Hartenstein for teaching us in 3rd grade. Then I want to thank Mr. K for teaching us in 4th grade. All of you helped me and my classmates develop while we were young and in elementary school. Then I want to thank Mrs. Lamke for all the tough years of math in middle school that she got us through. It was really, truly a pleasure learning math with you. Then I want to thank Mrs. Hamaker for teaching us science. It was also a very fun class to be in, and I think we all had a really good time. Thank you for trying to teach me to work with others, even when I resisted. I also want to thank Mrs. Martz for teaching us the first year of middle school social studies. Then Mrs. Kornskill took over, and I was taught how to not yell and how to raise my hand and not call out the answer. At first it was hard, but eventually I got the hang of it. Lastly, I want to thank Mr. K and Mrs. Haas for teaching us middle school English. It was very fun. I think I had the most fun under these two teachers, and I think I also learned the most under these two teachers. Thank you so much. I also want to thank all the rabbis and moras who taught this grade Humash, Judaic Studies, and Gemara. There are two names that first sprung to my mind though. Mora Boris taught me and the few people she did teach a lot about Hebrew, and I'm very happy to have been in that class, even if I sometimes came late and was yelled at. Then I want to thank Rabbi Lesarowski and his class where we were all good-for-nothing wild dogs, except for Dean, who would be rich for having a ball-producing company. I also want to thank Rabbi for the hard work and patience that it must have taken to make sure that when I got up to the bima to read my parsha, I did not embarrass myself and my family. Thanks, Rabbi. Now I want to thank Rabbi Tesser for always being kind to us and teaching us Chumash and occasionally giving us free sodas. I also want to thank Morai for teaching us Hebrew. I also want to thank James for always being there and being very nice. In addition, I would like to thank Ms. Shantiz for preparing us and taking us to Reading Olympics, even though it got canceled this year. I also want to thank Mrs. Hamker and Mrs. Lamke for preparing the STEM Connects competition and trying to help us. It was really fun, even though we didn't get to go. And lastly, I want to thank my parents because if it would not have been for them, I would not be the person I am today. And to my classmates, thank you for all the fun years at Abrams. I will miss you. My finishing thought is to share some wisdom from our rabbis with you. This year did not turn out like all the other years. We did not get to spend our last months of middle school cherishing our friends and our teachers. We did not get to go on the trip to Israel that most of us looked forward to for 9 years. So I think this message is especially powerful to drive us forward. Our rabbis point out that the final letters of the word Bereshit bara Elohim, in the beginning God created, form the word emet, truth, which alludes to the idea that the signature of the Almighty is truth. One might ask why only the end of these words contain the signature of the Almighty. Why did he not begin the Torah with the words whose beginning letters spell emet? I saw an insightful answer to this question. The truth of the Almighty can sometimes only be recognized at the end. Oftentimes, while a person lives through certain events and life circumstances, he is unable to see the truth of the Almighty. However, in the end, in retrospect, a person can sometimes see and appreciate the truth of Hashem's ways, which he could not see or appreciate earlier. All of us should have pleasant and carefree lives. That's what we deserve. But unfortunately, life is not like that. A person sometimes goes through very difficult periods in which he might question why God is doing these things to him. Such occurrences happen all too frequently. We must always bear in mind that the signature of the Almighty is truth. We might not see it ahead of time, we might not see it when events unfold, but hopefully we will see it in the end. As my final thought, I would like to wish us all Mazel Tov, as the world around us is very turbulent. My dear classmates and friends, be strong, be courageous, be proud Jews, and don't kneel or bow down to anyone but Hashem.